I'm Joylene Wagner, sitting in for Chairperson Rosmic Gregorian, calling to order this meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission on Thursday, December 18th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Stepanian?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanessian is absent. Commissioner Solis?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Kivanian?
Here.
Chairperson Gregorian, absent. The agenda for, let me just read this. The agenda for the December 18th meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on December 12th, 2008.
Now, before we go on to the consent calendar, do I need to be approved to chair this meeting?
I nominate Joylene Wagner to be Chair Pro Tem.
I will second that. Okay. I will second that.
Any other discussions for volunteers? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, whoops, we do that at roll call, or?
You could do a roll call. Okay. Commissioner Stepanian?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanessian is absent. Commissioner Solis?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Kivanian?
Yes.
Chairperson Gregorian is absent. Okay.
I often wanted to ask about the necessity of a roll call. We're so used to
Calling for
just calling for a vote. I'll address that at another time. Next.
Consent items, approval of order commission meeting minutes from November 20th, 2008 at 2 p.m.
Are there any, you've had a chance to review the minutes, any corrections to the minutes of the November 20th meeting?
I'll move to approve.
I will second.
Any questions or corrections? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Stepanian?
Abstain as I wasn't here.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanessian is absent. Commissioner Solis?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Kivanian?
Yes.
Chairperson Gregorian is absent.
Abstain.
Next item. We're moving right along.
Introductions and presentations. New Art Commissioner, Arma Stepanian.
I would like to introduce Arma Stepanian as the newest addition to the Arts and Culture Commission. He was born in Iran, of Armenian parents, lived and worked in Iran, Great Britain, and in the United States. He received his education in England and obtained his bachelor's degree in humanities and completed courses in acting and stage direction. He received his education in England and obtained, I told you guys already about that. After living in England for 20 years, he moved to the United States, initially to Los Angeles, and from 1995 he lives in Glendale. Throughout his career, he has incorporated art into his everyday activities. In 2006, he and two partners established the Luna Playhouse, which is a very multicultural performance facility. Alongside of American and Armenian projects, Irish, Chinese, and Spanish language productions have also been presented at the Luna Playhouse. I would like to welcome you to the Commission and thank you for volunteering your time. And you're welcome to share some thoughts.
Well, thank you. As a person who has been on the other side of this desk, this area, I have always been appreciative of the existence of an Arts and Culture Commission, and I have tried to cooperate and work and always keep you informed of what we're doing, and also follow any programs that are suggested by Arts and Culture Commission. I've also, in earlier times, I had felt somewhat frustrated by the limited scope and the limited mandate that I perceive to be the case for the Arts and Culture Commission, and I always felt that more could be done just to promote artistic and cultural activities in Glendale, and the Commission could take a more this is an American word, proactive role promoting arts and culture. And when I saw an ad for the commissioner, I thought I'll apply and see if I can actually contribute to what I have been saying the commission can do. I mean, actually see if I can actually do what I have been saying the commissioners should do all throughout these last few years. And here I am, in a way, I suppose I was going to say putting my money where my mouth is, more or less. So I hope to be able to work with the other commissioners and actually try to achieve some of the projects and some of the suggestions and some of the strategic plan that was, I have a list here that was certain things that were felt that would be desirable to happen in Glendale and they haven't happened, so I thought we could work on this. I'm here to work on this, some of these projects that were suggested here some years ago by Mr. Sheldon Baker's plan, and I'm here to work with everybody and hopefully be useful to Glendale in this capacity. That's it.
Now, I can't be first in this role. For myself, I'm delighted to welcome you.
Thank you.
I was trying to think when I first encountered you, and I think it was at a puppet theater production at the main library. And it must have been maybe not too long after you had come here, although you were familiar with the district already by that time.
Yes.
And I was in a PTA role, but
yeah.
I know your long commitment to arts and have enjoyed the Luna Playhouse. I haven't been there as much as I would like, but...
Yes. No, even when I lived in Los Angeles, I used to travel. My parents were here, my brothers were here, and I used to travel practically every day, and most of our work initially was here always. We would rent a school hall or theaters and the work. And then we also worked in Los Angeles, in North Hollywood and so on. But since 1995, I've been here, and I particularly wanted to do have a theater, a small theater in Glendale, among other reasons because there isn't one. There wasn't one. There is now. Yeah, it's like in North Hollywood you have 10, 20, 30 small theaters. Hollywood has another 20 or 30, and Pasadena have theaters, Burbank, but not Glendale. I don't know why. So I thought we'll try that. As a director and actor, if you have your own space, your work becomes much more... it's easier to work, do more work and take more chances and risks, which is what we do as much as we can. So that's why we have that place.
Well, thank you for your chances and your risks, including joining this body.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, we are now to oral communications. And I'll read the rules, which you all know, but I'll do it anyway. Discussion is limited to items not on this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. Staff may refer the matter for investigation and report. Our first and regular speaker, Kathy Billings, Brand Library.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagner. As you know, I'm Kathy Billings. I'm the art librarian and the gallery manager at Brand Library. I'm here today just to let you know about the exhibition that's opening in January at the library. It's an exhibition, lots of multimedia types of work. We have a video installation artist, mixed media artist, painter, artists from all around the Los Angeles area, and one Glendalian, actually. So I'm going to read their names. The title of the exhibition is Natural Worlds, and the artists are Erica Lise, Joe Merrill, Charla Purrier, Andrea Raft, Arpane Shakbandarian, and Jill Sykes. So that opens January 10th. That's a Saturday, and the opening will be 5 to 8 p.m. and the show runs through the 13th of February. So we hope you'll be able to make it up to see the show. The show that we have up now, called Portrait in Phase, ends this Friday. So if you haven't seen it, you still have a couple more days. And lastly, I'm just going to mention that we have an opera talk scheduled in January. January 17th, it's the opera talk to accompany the Magic Flute, which is going to be performed at the Los Angeles Opera. So thank you, and I hope you'll join us for some of our events.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And our next speaker is Michael Sheehan. Brenda Neighbor.
Brendan Neighbor, good afternoon. I have no idea why I'm here, except I got an email from Armazad telling me that he had been appointed to this commission, and I felt left out because I'd applied to be on the commission, and nobody said, no, Mr. Sheehan, you can't be on the commission. But I'm happy to hear what you have to say, because we are totally aligned, or majorly aligned. My background is theater as well. And I've been working in the arts since 1964. Well, take before that. But I'm embarrassed at the lack of power that this commission has. And I'm embarrassed that the city of Glendale has not taken steps to make Glendale a place where art is really welcome. So show of hands, how many happen to see the balloons that I put into the gas station down at Adams Square? Far out.
That's not bad.
Well, that makes me feel good, because that event was something that it took me 2 months to get going, and if George was here, I'd bring him to task a little bit, because all it needed to happen was somebody to say, okay, you can do it. Richard, in his absence, was present all the time and helped in a great way to help me get that exhibit going.
And there was a very nice article in the Glendale newspaper.
It made the front page of the Glendale News Press, which was amazing to me, and I was grateful for that. The city of New Orleans suffered a bit of a setback 3 years ago, and they are now presenting their first biennial art exhibition in the city. And we all know, or you should know, that the way that art comes into any city is by the city opening its arms to art and welcoming it in. So I don't have a specific plan for a Glendale biennial, but I would hope that in closed session that you guys would get together and just chat about how to really do what Armazad is talking about. Bringing art in all forms, theater, music, balloons in gas stations, and other contemporary stuff into our city, and making it a place that's really a place with open arms to art. I was saying earlier, and I said to Richard, that I volunteered to go to work for this city for $1 a year, just to have the cloak of okayness that would allow me to help in some way. I have a plan here that I presented to this commission in July, I think it was, for how to use the gas station down at Adams Square. This is the same thing that you got before, so it's probably in your files. But basically, and this is as George knows, it's just an idea to get together, offer the space to people to bring art into, and then to put the art in and have it up for a month or 6 weeks and have other stuff come in. Somebody has to decide who's going to do that. I'd be happy to help coordinate that because it's my neighborhood. And I had the idea years before the gas station was even remodeled or the park was bought by the city. And so I'm here today to congratulate Armazad specifically and to ask you on a personal level, when the cameras are turned off, as they should be, and the people are presented in their true light, not in the politically correct light, that art in Glendale is something that can happen, and that if we all get together and in our private hearts want to bring it here, then we can have stuff in here that will put Glendale on the map, perhaps, as a place that has open arms to art. Down on Maryland Avenue, oh, shut up. Down on Maryland Avenue, there are several empty spaces. They've been empty since I've lived here, and I moved here in 1986. Temporary art galleries could go there.
Michael, are you
So
almost
my time is up, and I will stop. But see, this is the sort of thing that does not promote creativity. 5 minutes does not promote creativity. Take a look at my proposal, and I'll help you if you ask me to.
Can I just offer one comment, or would you like to, about what we can do in closed session versus a discussion? Closed session is very limited. We can't have that conversation in closed session.
That's true. The planning for the commission of what type of projects they'd like to have would be done in the open. There are limited situations where you can go in closed session. For example, if there was impending litigation, you need to discuss that. And if you were like the council, an employee issue, or like council, that you're going to purchase real estate, those are the type of issues that would be discussed in closed session. But otherwise, the business of this commission is open to the public, and it would be discussed in the public.
But we have had, just in the 3 years I've been on the commission, a retreat, discussion meeting off-site, that I think that's what you mean. It's public, open to the public, but it was not on the cameras.
Yeah, when you're not...
We'll stay tuned. We have more information coming with plans and a discussion with the mayor about the future of this commission, so we'll see. But
When the mayor invited me to sit with him and to discuss the business that I'm interested in, then when your emails get ignored, it comes down to trust and...
This is really not a discussion opportunity right here, but...
Or I could be dragged
Thank
out.
you.
I could be dragged out by a security person because I broke the rules. The rules can get in the way more often than they can help. The rules can get in the way more often than they can help.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. Okay. That's it for oral communications. And next.
Business agenda, action items, election of new chairperson.
It was announced at our last meeting that a vote will be taken at this meeting to nominate and elect a chairperson, new chairperson. I would like just to ask you to consider if you have the time to serve in this capacity. And chairperson is elected to serve for 1 full year.
If I may add, you do not have all the commissioners here today, so if you like another option, if you may certainly proceed today, or if you'd like, you can also put it over to the next agenda when you have all the commissioners available to vote and discuss the matter.
I make that motion
To
postpone the election for chairperson till the next meeting.
Is there a second? As chair, can I second it? I would second that, and I would speak to the motion unless someone else would like
Does
to.
she second, or does she have to pass the gavel? She have to pass the gavel, so you can pass the gavel second, or you can second.
For the purpose... Well,
Don't I have to accept the gavel? Yeah. I don't want to accept the gavel, and he made the motion, so
it
dies. It's a dead motion.
and we have no one to accept the gavel. Okay. So I guess that motion dies. Is there a further motion on this item?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Kavanian.
Is there a second?
No, you can't second yourself.
He can second it.
Yeah, as I did.
I will second myself.
There has been a nomination and a second for Mr. Kavanian to chair this commission. Is there discussion on the nomination?
Any question for the city attorney? So what happens if there's a tie? Doesn't pass, right?
Sorry, what was the question?
Well, we have a nomination
Yes, I
for
understand.
chair.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered if there was any discussion on the nomination before we go to a vote.
And I think his
Mr.
question was,
Chapkin.
what happens if there's a tie?
Oh,
And the nomination doesn't happen.
There won't.
I nominate
we have one. We already have a nomination on the floor. So
Yeah, you can.
more than one nomination. Oh, so we don't have to vote one down. So you nominated me? Well, I would...
I'm sorry, it's not that I'm indifferent, but I don't know my new colleagues, and I have no idea. I haven't spoken to anyone. I would always be voting and be participating, but right now I feel as it would be unfair for me to just nominate or vote for anything or anyone without knowing more what has been happening here. It's not like I said. I have fully respect everyone here, but I don't feel qualified right now to make comments or vote in one way or the other.
I would speak to his nomination, if I may. I would, under other circumstances, happily serve, but since I serve now as president of the Glendale Board of Education, and because I'm coming into an election season that I know is going to occupy a good deal of my time, I could not do this work, give justice to this work. But I also, and I will speak to the motion to, the earlier failed motion to postpone the question, for two reasons. One, that I think the fuller body is important in this, for this purpose, but more particularly because there is so much uncertainty about the future of this commission itself, and I think that it might be useful, in fact, to have, if we can, I don't know how long we can continue without changing officers, but to have a report or some indication of how long this commission might be in existence, because anyone considering taking the position would want to know what the term is. In fact, when I agreed to continue my service as a commissioner, it was with the expectation that a new body would be formed, and I'm happy to serve to help bridge to whether we create another body or whether we work with Glendale Arts. My expectation was that service would end. So,
Madam
Yes.
Chair and Commissioners, if I may,
Mr.
two
Grant.
things. First of all, if anyone anticipates there's going to be a tie vote, again, you may want to put it over until the full commission is available to vote on it. The other thing is, I believe tentatively set for January 13th is going to be a report to council, a progress report on the ad hoc committee that was going to form a committee to make recommendations for this commission and or going forward on the arts. So again, you have the option of proceeding today, but if you anticipate a tie, you can always wait till the next time to have the vote.
yes.
I think we're losing. I think we got to remember the chair, despite what the past chair has presented, is just it's no different than being a member. There's no more power or less power. You run a meeting. The chair can't do anything that the commissioners can. We can't do really anything. But the point is, there's really, you don't get a certain power, magic stick. Then all of a sudden you have more power. You just run a meeting. This has been on the agenda for a month. We knew about it. It was told to us last month. The two commissioners that aren't here, they're not here. Maybe, I don't know, but in my opinion, they're not here for a reason. Now, that being said, they knew this was going to be here, and if this is that important, then they would have been here. So, and the fact of the matter is, we're just hearing that there's going to be a meeting in less than a month, and we're on the commission. So, I think when it comes to what are we going to know, we're not going to know much because we don't know much, and we know thanks to Mr. City Attorney, the City Attorney's office, that we're going to have a meeting on the 13th. Like I said, it's just a position that runs a meeting. I mean, I don't know how it's going to transfer into the new group, but that's how I see it.
Actually, along with that, the reason why I'm a little bit adamant to vote on this at this meeting, regardless of who gets voted chair, is because I'm not going to be here next month. And what happens if somebody else decides? I mean, I'm going on tour next month, so I don't have a choice about it. It's not a choice for me to be here or not. But what happens if somebody else isn't here, or, for example, if Mr. Stepanian decides to abstain, for example, then it's kind of in the same situation as it is before. So I mean, if my colleagues decide to postpone it, then that's fine. But I mean, I'd rather just vote on this now and move on.
Let me ask you another question, City Attorney. Now, if it's a tie, that's it. It just goes over till next month, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, and so what happens with the chairmanship?
That's every meeting.
As I suggested before, I was going to wait until I learned more about this commission and so on, and I've already learned a little bit here. The point is, I'm here to work with the commission, within the commission that is going to go on. It's not going to be disbanded or changed to something else. I'm here to do work. I'm not here to finish up somebody in 6 months' time. And if in a worry I share with Mr. Sheehan is that it is the one way of succeeding in promoting arts and culture in the city is to make it understood with everybody that it's an important thing. It is a prestigious thing. It is a crucial thing for people of a city to have arts and culture of highest quality, highest caliber, and that the people who are serving that, they must be confident and they must be diligent and work and do the practical thing and get on with it. So I think I would say let's vote on it. Mr. Kebanian if he's the only candidate, then let's vote on him. And I will no longer abstain. I'm already worked up about it. So let's vote on that. And if he's the chairman, then and like as he said, what if Mr. Grigorian and Mrs. Anesian or anybody else is not here next week? Next month. So I will be here, but I don't know about the others. So let's do it now. If it's the commission, let's just select a chairman to show that we mean business. We are here to stay, we are here to work, and we're not going to let anyone disband this commission because it's going to be important to the city of Glendale. It's going to be active and it's going to make a serious difference, or continue making a serious difference. If I'm not. That's my. I no longer will abstain.
Actually, I have to dovetail on that because actually last meeting when we talked about the process of moving forward, I thought it was the consensus of the entire commission that regardless of what's going to happen in the future, that we continue doing what we're going to do, and we do the best. Exactly, it's in the minutes as well.
The minutes. Yeah.
So that's exactly. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I think you speak on behalf of all of us.
Yeah.
In that with that attitude.
Can we vote?
Yes. Any more? That was a call for the question?
Yes.
Before any further discussion? Okay. May we have a roll call, please? The vote is to elect Mr. Kavanian as chairperson. Effective today? Yes.
Commissioner Stepanian?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Donesian's absent. Commissioner Solis?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'll give you a unanimous yes.
Commissioner Kavanian?
Yes. Thank you.
Chairperson Gregorian's absent.
Thank you.
Oops, you don't need my purse. I carry a lot of stuff.
Actually, I do have my own cell phone as well.
Was that mine? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my iPhone. First of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues for entrusting me with this position. Although it's not all that special, I do just get to run meetings, the meeting right now. But again, I hope this shows some kind of solidarity within all of us, and is an example that we are going to move forward and continue moving on with whatever our plans are and whatever events that we have. And I hope this is just another step in the right direction for us as a commission. So with that said, next item, please.
Reports? Chuck Art Event PowerPoint presentation.
I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation for those who were not able to attend. It consists of visuals of the creative process and also visuals from the event. As you all know, our first Chuck Art event was held on December 6th and 7th at the Chess Park on Brent. After reviewing several portfolios, we commissioned an award-winning artist, Anne-Marie Dara, to recreate Michelangelo's very famous piece from Sistine Chapel, Creation of Sun and Moon. I need number 32. That's why I'm going to... Yeah, only this one piece I wanted to show. Oh, all right. Okay, this is the artist. I really want you to know. The piece that we commissioned is Michelangelo's very famous piece, Creation of Sun and Moon, from Sistine Chapel. And we asked her to create this art on canvas, so the city will have a permanent piece of art and can display this art in many different occasions. You're now seeing the process, how it was created, the preparation. During the two-day event, more than 200 people, spectators, attended, families with children, people from all walks of life. Among them was Mayor Raymond. The purpose of this event was to bring the old tradition of the street painting to our city, to let spectators experience the creation process and inspire children to start their own Chuck art. And we had surprise guests, many children. Having a great time. It was a very nice compliment to our event, the musicians, Angels of Venice. We had harpist and a flute player. The artwork has been completed, and it can be exhibited periodically until permanent location is designated. Very nice articles in the Glendale News Press and Glendale Focus magazines were published about the Chuck event. The general opinion about the event was very pleasant. Everybody was very happy. This is the presentation for you, just to have an idea how it went.
Great. Thank you. Any comments?
How long did it take?
To take for her to do the work, 2 days. But actually she started working on this piece prior to the exhibition date. She needed to prepare the canvas, and it took a special technique for her to work with chalk on canvas. Chalk artists usually create the work in two ways. Either they do it directly on a pavement, on asphalt, or on a canvas. We asked her to work on canvas, so we will have a permanent original piece of artwork for the city. Actually, working on a canvas, it takes longer and it's much harder than working directly on.
Well, I'm glad you did it on the canvas, since I was still in San Diego for the first day and altogether booked on Sunday, and I missed the whole thing. At least I'll have a chance to see it now.
Where will it be displayed?
We're planning to display it in our Perkins Plaza when the weather will be better. And we have a lot of other ideas with big walls that we can temporarily rotate the piece until we will find the best location, permanent location for this piece. She was commissioned. Her commission was 2000.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sheehan, I don't think we're allowed to allow conversation between staff and people in the audience during our...
What I said earlier,
Yes, sir, I did.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. There needs to be dialogue about this kind of stuff.
Sir,
And the rules suck. And if you can figure out a way to have dialogue about art in Glendale, bang your gavel.
Mr. Sheehan,
Figure out a way to have dialogue about art in Glendale, then art will happen in Glendale.
Mr. Sheehan, this is not the correct forum. If you have complaints, this is not the correct forum to present those complaints, unfortunately. So, any other comments from my colleagues or staff?
So was the artist commissioned, yes?
Artist was commissioned to do this.
The artist was commissioned to do the work. All right, thank you.
We wanted to bring this great tradition to our city. And for the first time, because it was a first-time event in the city of Glendale, we decided to commission a well-known artist, master artist, who has done many other festivals nationally. So people will have a great experience by seeing created by a master. That was the reason why we commissioned an artist.
Well, my whole entire family really enjoyed it. We came out, we enjoyed it. Even my daughter's pictures and my son's pictures were in there. They're trying to be creative, although it wasn't very good, but they were trying. I think these type of events will help encourage art in the city of Glendale. The commission was probably very little, to pay any respect to the artist. But in that same essence, I think this is a good start for us. I hope for more to be able to move forward. Thank you.
There are many other cities who does chalk festivals. This was just a preview for us, and we hope next year we will have a bigger festival and include many young children to be part of it.
This question comes from my ignorance of where does the money come from? Does the Arts and Culture Commission have a budget, or was it requested from the city, or?
It has some budget, yes.
Arts and Culture Commission has a budget that it can its own discretion allocate to certain artistic or cultural events.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Are we planning to do an event like this for next year? I mean, and on what scale, if we're planning on doing that?
It will be nice to see different events in our city. One of the next, I would like to see a bigger chalk festival in the city of Glendale. Like I said, and I would love to see children involved. This is a great way of connecting them with art. They have a lot of fun and they experience art.
Do you have any kind of area in mind that you're already thinking about, or?
The area is the most important thing in this medium because it requires a lot of foot traffic. People have to come around, and traffic. There are many things that we have to consider once we're ready to decide the location.
Yeah, because I'd love to see this event happen again and on a larger scale. I think 200 people is a great number to start with.
More than 200.
Yeah.
More than 200.
I think it's a very good number to
We
start
were
with.
very pleased.
Any other comments? Okay, next item, please.
Men's and Humanity to Man Subcommittee Report.
Okay, the subcommittee for the Men's Inhumanity to Men event was formed, and we already had 2 meetings. This item as a report, I put it in the agenda, hoping that one of the commissioners, subcommittee members, will be able to share more information about the progress we made until now organizing the Men's Inhumanity to Men. I can go ahead and say that at the last meeting, 3 commissioners were voted and elected to be part of the Men's Inhumanity to Men subcommittee. Now we have 3 more new members added to the group, and all these 3 new members are very well known, very well respected artists, and all 3 of them have been referred to us by Alisa Resnick.
By whom, sorry?
Alisa Resnick, of senior brand library supervisor. Staff actually prepared some guidelines and agenda and some timeline for the subcommittee to help them to move forward organizing. We understand that timing is very important. So if Chair Kevanyan, you'd like to talk more about anything we discussed at the subcommittee meeting, that would be nice to share with
Sure, of course. I guess I'm the only one present from the subcommittee anyway. At this stage, we're still in the preliminary planning stages. We're still in the process of brainstorming ideas about what kind of an event that we wanted, and how big we want the event. I mean, do we want only a visual arts, or do we want to have some kind of a musical component, some kind of poetry? And actually, it looks like the poetry is going to go through. And with our connections through the Museum of Tolerance, we're going to get in a lot of people and a lot of artists. It's going to be a very large pool, which I'm fairly happy about. I mean, in terms of my own personal responsibilities, I think the largest thing that I have to worry about personally is really fundraising and how we're going to be doing that. Because we're also talking about creating some kind of a catalog for the event, so that we have some kind of a standing list, some kind of something to show for it, essentially. And I think the artist that we're working with, Farzad, is among those artists who you probably all remember. He's been here several times. Farzad and Laura Hipke.
Hipke and Kalust.
Yes, and Kalust. And they all have great connections, and they're all they all know what the field of arts and doing some kind of an art show is about. And we're even discussing about maybe getting a co-curator or some kind of curating process to happen. I mean, this is going to be a large event, and it's going to be on a professional level, and it's not going to be anything less than that.
Question. You mentioned 3 artists. Are they all visual artists? I mean, they're painters.
Yes, and actually, I think that's kind of the focal point of the event in general. I mean, at least for our part, what we're doing, it's basically visual art, but we're trying to incorporate also music. I mean, my expertise is music, so we're trying
performing arts
and dance ensembles are maybe going to be there. We don't really know yet because of the dates of the Brand Library and when they're open, and if we can actually pull in an audience. We really are currently looking into that.
Yeah, because you mentioned poetry, I thought, probably have a poet there as well.
Yeah, actually, Laura Hipke is the one really doing that, and she's working through the Museum of Tolerance. And what they do is they have apparently poetry nights all the time, and so they have an active roster of poets. So they can very easily pick a couple of them and have them come in and do their own poetry readings, and apparently the poetry that they're writing has to do with man's inhumanity against man. So I think it's absolutely fitting that we try to incorporate as many different art genres as we possibly can.
But just to clarify, the scope of this committee's responsibility is in connection with the Brand Library. There will be other events being put on by the larger city committee on the on the genocide commemoration events.
This is really a subcommittee of the committee, essentially. Yeah. If there's any other
and
questions?
Men's Inhumanity to Men's exhibition is not going to be focused only on the Armenian genocide. It's going to have a bigger sense, and it will have different kind of.
Again, we're looking forward to working with the Museum of Tolerance and really working with them. And Laura Hibke is really the connection that we have there, along with Elisa Resnick. I'm sure she knows people there.
Will our subcommittee as a whole be a part of the larger committee? Do we know yet?
No.
No, okay.
The subcommittee was formed solely for the Men's in Humanity to Men event.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Any
work.
questions?
Yeah, well, we'll see at the end result.
Okay.
Next item, please.
Strategic plan initiatives that have not been addressed.
Well, this item was requested by Commissioner Lee. As I promised, I made a list of projects that were not accomplished to make it easier for you to see everything on one page. But as I told you last time, everything that was accomplished also is being separated, and it's on a list, on a separate list. So if you like to see them, I can go ahead and send you one more time. But it was reported and sent it to you in our July meeting and September meeting. Is this what you were looking for?
Yes. In looking at the list, there's quite a few things that I've noticed that Glendale Arts, through their forums before their formation, have been looking into. So that's a very good thing that there's more items on our strategic plan that are already hopefully in progress that I've seen.
Some of those, just so you know, some of those forums were joint with the commission. So what do we do with this? What are we doing today? You just wanted a list?
It's just a report.
Well, I wanted the list, and then for us to see if we can tackle some of these items to see what we can do to move on to complete what we're really supposed to be here for.
Well, a lot of the stuff we have, I've been on the commission, right here I've been on the commission, let me tell you, a lot of the stuff we have tried to do, such as develop an arts community and provide subsidized housing off studio space. When they were doing the downtown specific plan, our Commissioner Gregorian brought that up. There's a lot of stuff on here that we try to do, which is not possible. It's not feasible. So a lot of the stuff is just, for instance, there was one about expand school facilities. I have no idea what that means, and how we would do that, and in what way we would be involved with that. Like which facilities? I mean, that's so broad. Is that what it said? That's what was written in there? I mean, that's broad. I mean, what are we going to expand the water facility?
Well, can I make another request? Can we find somebody who was on the previous commission that helped set it up to give us an insight?
This list was made, we made the list based on the original strategic plan done by Sheldon Baker.
Correct. Maybe we can see if we can ask him if he can join us at one of the meetings and give us an insight of what some of these items, what they had, what our forefathers had set forth before, and then let's see if we can embellish and work on their ideas in that essence.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't. It's always great to have a conversation with Sheldon Baker, but I think there are a number of us, at least a couple of us here, who have been part of some of the efforts that are included in this, or at least some of the conversations, and maybe. Well, here I'm going back to the conversations I expect the city to have with respect to the commission as a whole. But maybe rather than look at, to talk to people about what that plan was then, look at the list and look at what we might tackle now, or look at the list in conjunction with what we know is coming and what's on our commission plate. We know we have Diamond Awards coming. We know we have the Men's in Humanity to Man efforts. We might do well to look at our calendar and to put in the chalk art, to look at. We had talked at an earlier meeting about perhaps scheduling the open studio tours on different days, north and south, or some other arrangement, so that more of us can get to more of those events, rather than, that would be my preference, to look, to pull a few, keep the list in front of us, but pull some events, and I don't, I think that's my comment at this point.
I just, first of all, just briefly, could you send me because I didn't get that list because it was sent in July of what has been accomplished. So I don't actually, but there's certain things here which I don't remember Glendale or this commission or anybody else trying, like festivals, for instance. I don't remember anybody doing that, which is actually, it's not a very difficult thing, and it doesn't. It won't require major sort of spending of major expenditure of money or anything like that. So there's a whole bunch of things, as Commissioner Wagner says, that we can actually try and we can get going, and by just asking people to do it, by encouraging it. We don't have to do everything ourselves or plan everything and spend a lot of money and hire consultants and so on. You can there are lots of artists here. You can just ask. I think like ideas of festivals. Just have. Glendale has kind of a festival about the cars, right? Every year that happens. Glendale has all those motorcycle people, the Harley Davidson people coming enthusiastically and doing some charity work, and and a whole bunch of other things that happen. All the effort that is put in on the Rose Parade, floats, and so on. This is the kind of thing that we don't have to do much except to encourage it and just facilitate it and give it this seal of approval of the city of Glendale and make it more pompous a bit, but so people can just join. I don't think many of these things. I'm sure some things have been tried and found to be difficult. I don't doubt that, but it's just that there are a whole. And we have we have the Alex Theater, which is it can. I think I'm just an example. It's not being used enough. And if City of Glendale and people pay for it to keep it going, then we can actually use it for a lot of festival things and so on. So at some point soon, I would like us to consider just picking on these things and starting with them. It's not that hard. And I said the most important thing is that for the city to say we're doing this, we're facilitating this, we're suggesting this, we're encouraging this, and then you will see that artists, people like Mr. Michael Sheehan and others, they will come. What's that movie? If you build it, they will come. If you encourage it, people will come and will do this.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Yes,
awesome.
Exactly.
Theater of Dreams.
Yes, and I didn't see that movie. I just heard it play.
You were in it. I saw you.
Commissioner Solis.
Just one more thing about this list. To me, it's not a very large list, but there's just some things on here that are. These. I don't know who made this, but they must have thought money was falling from the heavens. For instance,
The original,
I think they have like. Do they have like?
back in 1998, and the copy we made, I put together this list with Richard's help. So we copied everything from the original list. Maybe that's why some of the items don't.
Sure, but for instance, I'm gonna ask George. I know you were just getting on. This was way before your time, actually. But I should know this, but maybe I'm confused. But what was the scope of this? Was this? They wanted this done in 10 years? Because build concert halls. That alone takes 5 years. There's build museums. There's just. This is very, very.
I think you're right. It's kind of a long-term strategic plan.
Yeah, see, I think people are confused.
And you chip away at it, and you get things done, and and you go and revise at some point. You look back at it and
absolutely
assess.
There's just some things on here that are very long-term, and I think people forget that. I think council forgot that. We have accomplished certain things. For instance, the third thing on here, I know Eve used to help people write grants all the time. That's on here, which we did. there's things on these lists. Program an art week where we have the open studio tour, which is a weekend. There's just some things on here that either we've done, we've tried to do, or are just completely out of our hands.
The commission at one point did work on trying to get a museum here.
Absolutely.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, the animation museum. So there's things on here that we've done. Like I said, I've been here for 5 years, and I've seen a lot happen, and a lot has happened that hasn't happened. So I'd like to for us to remember that.
And Unity Fest is a festival.
Yeah, it's a festival which we have literary. We play. So there's things on here we've done. Let's not forget that.
Commissioner Wagner.
One specific item along those lines, those big thinking lines, that I would like to see us pursue, or at least lift up as a subject of possibility, it would be the future use, the possibility of maintaining some arts use in the DiPietro building once Noise Within leaves.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I know that the expectation is that it will be a mixed use. I've had conversations with both the city manager and the mayor enough to know that an all arts use is not likely, given many dynamics, financial dynamics in the city and elsewhere. But I know the theater that's downstairs. I know the theater that's upstairs, and the thought of keeping some part of that as an arts use, I think I would love to keep in the discussion, and if we can be a part of that, I think that would be a great cause for us to champion.
Actually, I thought it premature, but I've been thinking about that space, and I think that's. I believe Noise Within are leaving, right? So I thought that we should just. The city of Glendale should just take that over and call it City of Glendale, Glendale's Municipal Theater, and just keep it that. Why would they? Why is it? Especially as I understand it, nobody ever paid rent for that space. And it shouldn't be too difficult to actually keep that place as a performing arts center, performing arts facility. And for the city of Glendale, and then that's the kind of thing that if you have that, then people will come and use that. This is the point. And you mentioned about museums, but you can start a museum smaller. I remember the conversations about the animation museum, but it was like as far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong. They were wanting that big building there, in the one of the Social Security, and when you make it what you want too big and too expensive, and there's too many complications. If they had gone for a smaller building, something more modest, and relied on actually working for the presentation of the artwork rather than we want this building is big, it's very big, we want to work there. It might have happened. It was too big a stone, but you can start with a smaller space. And the other thing is what has prevented us from having a film festival in the capital of film world? There's millions of young people going around making movies and looking for a festival to show them or places. What has stopped us from just putting an ad in one of the trade papers? You would get 1,000 movies to come in, and they will show it for free, and they will. So I understand what the point you're making about, when you say build a museum, you go, oh wow, we can't build Louvre, the Museum of Louvre in Glendale. That's not possible. But if you look at it from a from a smaller scale, then it might be possible later. So I'm not that pessimistic about this. So that's my point.
Mr. Chapchin, did you have a comment?
Sure. Just some perspective. I think that's a very prominent corner, the DiPietro's corner, and I know that the redevelopment agency is very interested in bringing something there. It doesn't preclude, as Commissioner Wagner said, some form of art in there, but I just don't know if that would be the entire building, because it is such a prominent corner. But again, this is something we can send either a letter or your recommendation to the redevelopment agency, and certainly they can know what your opinion is about that space. As it relates to festivals or film festivals, I know that when Frank was on this commission, he did talk about an animation festival at some point, which would be, something that we may want to look at as well. But my suggestion maybe what we can do is if there's a subcommittee that wants to help us look at this list, as Commissioner Soley said, there may be some duplications on this list, things that have been done, maybe things that still need to be done, and maybe prioritize it short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals kind of thing. We'd certainly be willing to work with, a subcommittee on that.
Any other comments? Just in closing, I would just like to add that another major reason why I don't think a lot of this humongous list of things can really not get done is because of staffing. We don't really have enough staff to do all of this, quite frankly. I mean...
Richard's a Superman.
Well, unfortunately, Richard is part-time.
Superman, 20 hours a week.
Exactly, yeah.
Part-time Superman.
So, I mean, we have to always realize that we need to keep things within a reasonable... As much as, believe me, when I walked onto this commission, I was telling the gentleman to my right that I have all these ideas. There's gonna be we can do all of this stuff, and you know what? When it comes down to the resources that you have on this kind of on a commission, you realize that some of those grandiose ideas have to be somewhat.
Scaled down.
Yeah, scaled down in a sense, or not even that, but modified in a sense that you can actually make it work and make the process happen. With this, of course, again, because we're all volunteer here, and really all the bulk of the work is on staff, and there's certain things that we've done as a tradition almost, like the Diamond Award, like Unity Fest, well, not anymore, but Unity Fest used to be, and Open Studio Tour. That those things are really the cornerstone of what we present to the community. And really, if we're gonna do some of this stuff, we're gonna have to do a lot of trading off. And actually, oddly enough, it says on the list it says avoid fragmentation and duplication. So I thought that was
this list is
this list can kind of go either way. I mean, I can see a lot of things that don't really necessarily involve us. For example, provide adequate parking. I don't know what that is, or I don't know for what, or yeah. So I mean, we have to keep in mind that this was written 10 years ago, and who knows what they had in mind when they were writing this. I
don't think any of us have ever spoken to anyone who helped write this.
Actually, Joan S.
Joan S. helped write this?
Joan S. was on it.
Part of it.
Joyce
Yeah.
Smith. Joyce Smith was hired by the city with arts money to help develop the plan, as I recall. She was from Santa Monica, and she invited my participation through PTA.
So you helped plan this?
I was in on some conversations on these and in some of the meetings. There used to be occasional broad-based meetings, community meetings about arts, and I forget under which auspices, but I know that it was related to the city efforts, and maybe that was those are the conversations that Mayor Draymond was talking about.
Okay, Mr. Trapton, I had just another question. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Stein.
No, I just wanted, just a matter of interest. Alex Theater, do we have any rights to use it? Do we have any if it's kind of if there's periods when it's not being used by or rented, is it possible for us for city Glendale Commission to Arts Commission to say, oh, right, we're going to take 1 week here?
No, we don't. Currently, I don't think we have that. We don't have that authority.
Oh, but do we have to rent it then from them if we wanted to?
Do it. I believe we've never asked, but I believe you would have to rent it. George would know best.
Well, I think we can work with them. We may have to pay for their staffing if they have to bring staff in.
Yes.
But I think the facility, if it's not being used, right, if it's a city-sponsored event, we can do something.
Right.
We have used the courtyard for...
Because I know that if somebody wants to rent it and do a play there, I know it costs upwards of or nearly $10,000 a day or something like that if you want to do a serious... But that's the rental of the space. But if the city is subsidizing it, then we should especially if it's not being used, we should be able to have some say or use it for some citywide city-sponsored projects or arts and culture. That's that's a valuable resource there. I mean, it's a major, and it is. As I understand it, again, correct me if I'm wrong, its future is somehow in doubt, that at some point the subsidy will stop, and I don't believe they're doing enough to make it a viable proposition. Why shouldn't we help? And also, that's one area we can. There is a facility there. We don't have to build a big space. There is one place there, and it can be used for certain things.
I think that topic is a little bit far away from what we're discussing here, but I think that's a absolutely valid point. I think maybe we can get Barry McComb to come in and talk to us about that at some point.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that's definitely a valid point.
Yeah, because he may disagree with you in terms of he's not doing enough. I think
I know,
he's trying
I
to...
think
That's
they're
a bold
heavily
statement, but,
programmed.
Okay, that's my impression. I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong, but
Go
I would just add that there is a 501c3 now who is administering the ALEX and other efforts, and so I would think that if you had ideas on programming, that you as an individual might go to that board, or if you had an idea that you wanted to bring to the commission to ask the commission to suggest. They've partnered with us a great deal, but
again, I don't want to get too detailed on this. Go ahead, Commissioner Lee.
Well, briefly, and I think the commission elected me to be the liaison.
Yes.
And I can bring that up with Mr. McComb at the next meeting.
Let me make one correction to what I said. Perhaps I meant for Alex Theater or any other organization or any other entity to do the kind of work that starts other things. It is not just a one-off thing in itself. Like the chalk, you're hoping that would start other people doing that and develop that encourage that art form. And Alex Theater, what I'm looking for any from any group or any entities would be something not just the artwork or the art or the event that is presented there, but what effect that event is having in spreading, promulgating art and making it more acceptable and more respectable in the community. That's where it's one-off renting here, renting there. Even if they're very interesting programs, in itself is fine, but it finishes there. I'm looking for something that will, like I said, encourage other projects to go on and so on. That was my point.
Again, valid point, but that should moving right along. Next item, please. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Lee.
Along those lines, I think Parks and Rec have helped with some of these items in here. I know George had mentioned before art in the park. So those are considered, some type of film festivals, and you had some film showings at some of the parks, right?
We do concerts in the parks. We do Shakespeare in the park, film festivals. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that same light, even though it wasn't just through the commission, but those things have been worked on, whether it be from other agencies. So maybe if you can look in, without using a lot more time, maybe a little time to research some of these items. If it's already been done, whether it be through our commission or somewhere else, we can then take that off and then see what else we can what else we can work on.
Even the 1% for arts in the downtown specific area, that's going to be huge, I think, at some point. For all the
You
development.
just need to choose one or two projects from those lists and concentrate on those. And 1% would be one of them.
Any other comments? Next item, please.
Commission staff comments. Diamond Awards update.
Okay, Diamond Awards. I don't have a full report because if you remember last time we talked about the application nominations. As of today, we have only 18. I got one more application, and I received 3 phone calls. I was wondering if Commissioner Solis, did you send your...
That one was the one.
That's the one we received. So as of today, I have 18 only, but we decided that we'll wait until the end of December to see how many nominations we will have. Once we come back next month, I will have a better idea and we'll share it with you. If we should go ahead and do the Diamond Award or it should be canceled.
Sure.
It depends on the number of nominations we'll...
Commissioner Solis?
Mr. Roshan, every meeting we come and I don't know how many, do you know how many nominees we've had in the past, George?
At least 25.
At least 25?
That's a very big number.
You know, I just don't think, if we have 20, then we have 20. I mean, to cancel the whole thing, you come here, everybody say we have 18 only 18. Well, we should be happy we have 18, not, we only have 18. We should be happy we have the 18 and move forward. I think going on with what Commissioner Snappani is saying, we need to move forward. If we get 20, then we get 20. If we get 18, we get 18. Move forward. Do we have enough to fill every...
I mentioned last time, it's totally up to you. If you like to go ahead to move forward and do the Diamond Awards, we can do it with 18.
I would suggest, since we did agree at our last meeting to move the nominations till the end of the month, that it's incumbent on us to do more, perhaps, to get more nominations in there. It does, from my point of view, it could diminish the value if it appears that we take whoever we get. I mean, I don't want to disparage any of the nominees, but and I'm not. I right at the moment can't recall except one that I know well, but I think that's part of the thinking. So I think my understanding was that we're planning to move forward with the nominations we have at the end of December. That would be our
I think
expectation.
Mr. Grant.
Yeah, Chairman Cavagna and Commissioner, I just want to remind you that, during this time for staff comments, it's really brief questions, brief answers, announcements, and if you would like to, further discuss this, I would suggest maybe next month agendize this for further discussion and debate and even action.
I'm sorry, I didn't know this was under staff comment. I was still on...
May I make a comment about that?
Very, very small comment. Well,
No comment at all.
No comment at all?
I saw, this is for staff, I believe, obviously. I saw the application, and it was, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Grant.
I apologize.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, do you have maybe a question you would like to ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
About the application. Did you not think that it's too complicated, that application? That was my impression of it when I saw one a while back. I don't remember exact details, but I felt that it was too complicated for someone to actually nominate.
This is not the first year that we're doing Diamond Awards. This is the 3rd year, and it didn't create any problem in the past.
Okay, I didn't see them before. That was the only time I saw it. A few months ago, I saw the package, and I thought that was too complicated. But that's my comment.
But yeah, we'll save that for when this comes on next year. Moving right along. Any other comments, actually, or questions? Questions. I'll correct myself. Next item, please.
High-Am String Quartet Concert.
Yes, I just wanted to share with all of you. This month, on December 1st, I attended to a string concert at the Glendale Church of Brethren. The string quartet that carries the name of the charity foundation, High-Am, is founded by Nishan Ajemi, and I actually know the founder for many, many years and have done many projects with him. It was a great concert, and the program was classical by Mozart, Puccini, Handel, and Komitas. Mayor Draymond was there. It was a nice concert. I just wanted to share this with you.
Thanks. Next item.
We're still on commission and staff comments.
Go ahead, Commissioner Solis.
I'd just like to know if we were ever going to be told that was going to be on the agenda next month.
Which agenda are you talking about? I think what Michael was talking about was a report
clear
to the
up the
city
line.
council on, yeah, it wasn't the Arts Commission, it was a report to the city council by the mayor on an update on this arts process that he was talking about. So it
Is
wasn't,
it directly, will he bring up the commission whatsoever?
I don't believe so. I think he's just going to give an update on...
I don't know the content report. I just did, as the director said, it's going to be reported to the city council, sort of on the status of what the mayor requested, a committee to be formed. Sorry if I misspoke or that...
So I'm still not clear. So it's going to be, the mayor proposed for there to be a subcommittee to evaluate the arts and culture and to see its future and the future of arts in the city.
No, my understanding is he was proposing a task force for a better word. I mean, it's not even a task force. I think he wanted to look at a work plan created for a nonprofit that can do arts-related nonprofit.
That the commission would go into, and that would be...
I'm not sure. I think he's identifying key leaders to interview, is what my understanding is. There are going to be key leaders in the community, including the arts commissioners, to look at this work plan and give feedback on this work plan. And I think that's the update that's coming up in January. It doesn't have anything to do with the Arts Commission per se, in terms of your meetings or anything related
Or
to
the
Arts
future,
Commission. Right. Not that I understand.
I hear commission. I'm going to call you at your house.
I'll give you my home number.
I have it, don't worry.
Any other comments from your colleagues? Commissioner Wagner.
Well, I know offhand that there is one Glendale High School choral concert tonight, 7 o'clock. I wanted to mention, but I don't remember the dates. I did hear from Dr. Schaaf that the airport banner competition is alive and students have the information to prepare banners for next year, so I assume that will be coming to us to judge.
She mentioned that they'll be ready to come to the Arts and Culture Commission in February.
So that's exciting, and I hope you have all had a chance to see the banners that have been hung so far. I just wanted to share a story related to arts that actually I just heard today when I was finally buying my Christmas tree at the Y Lot. I was speaking with Craig Yossi, who is a financial person and a Christmas tree lot manager with the Y. But he shared about his son, who is now in college studying theater and production management, lighting, experience that he got and a good part of the reason he got into the program he did in Indiana was through Stepping Stone Players, which is a collaborative. If you're not familiar with it, it's a group that works each year to put on one production using young people, students and adult working together to do a musical.
So Stepping Stone production is at Glendale High School?
It exists in partnership at Hoover High School, in partnership with the district insofar as they use the facilities, and Craig Kupka, the instrumental music teacher there, helps bring the orchestra together. But it really has been a great collaboration of community people and students in schools, and to hear the effect on this one particular student and how I hope I probably will embarrass him. He's actually flying home today, but it was just a great story, and I wanted to share that. I had this opportunity, so. Happy holidays to all of us, and congratulations, Mr. Kavanian, on this role.
Thank you for making it unanimous.
You're welcome.
Yours was easy compared to mine.
I hope mine's is not going to be that hard later. If you don't mind.
Comments? Yeah.
Our former commissioner, Zen Lopez, she's sent her greetings, and she wanted me to mention that Katura Filipino Folk Arts, along with Philam Kiwanis of Glendale, also with the Filipino American Business Association of Glendale, Glendale Unified School District, PAEC, invite you to the Parole, Lantern or Wreath Festival and Christmas Bazaar. It's happening December 20th, Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. at Pacific Avenue Edison Center Educational Center Auditorium. There's even prizes. First prize is $200, and from various donors. Contact person Marlene at 818-731-9429, or Lino at area code 714-350-8386.
For anyone who doesn't know what the Pacific Avenue Educational Center is, it's also known as the Old Edison. It's right across Pacific Avenue from Edison Pacific Park. So, and thank you. That's another thing. I seen the notice and I didn't have the date handy, but we're looking forward to that and appreciate the partnership and Zen's help with that.
And then, not in City of Glendale, but also want to promote Chinese New Year is coming up, January 26th this year. It's a little earlier. As part of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce that covers Southern California, we are having quite a few things going on. We're doing a press conference in Chinatown at Empress Pavilion on the 26th on Friday evening at 5:30. That will introduce all the functions that we'll be doing this year. Along those same lines, our Miss LA Chinatown Charity Fashion Show is on January the 3rd on Saturday at the Hilton in San Gabriel. Our Miss LA Chinatown Pageant, which is on January 17th at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel, which is downtown, unfortunately. In the future, we can look at things to do in Glendale. And then along those same lines, we have our 110th Annual Golden Dragon Parade on January 31st, which is in Chinatown. It will encompass Hill Street and Broadway throughout Chinatown. Then we have at the same time, we have our festival, which will be Saturday the 31st and February 1st, Super Bowl weekend, and make sure you go down there. There's a lot of activities. It's a free event to enter. Go there, get some ideas, and then come back, and we can bring them back into Glendale. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay,
No, it's okay.
I think it's going. I think he's going to request tickets for the Miss LA Chinatown pageant. But we can talk about that after the meeting. Oliver. Actually, and Mr. Stepanian, do you have any comments? I didn't.
Well, I wasn't sure. Tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday night are the final performances of our current production at Luna Playhouse, Charles Bush's Shanghai Moon. There's no connection with the Chinese here. It's just a nice parody. And did you see the only Chinese American play that was done in Glendale ever at Luna Playhouse? Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, well, there we are. No. Tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night, December 18, 19, and 20th, at 8 p.m. we have Shanghai Moon, which is kind of a Chinese thing, but it isn't actually. It's just a nice parody of 30s movies written by Charles Bush. If anybody wants to see it, you're welcome. That's it?
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one left. So I have several events that I'm going to do this weekend. One of them is the Dilijan Chamber Music Series. They're performing this Sunday at Colburn School of Music at Zipper Hall at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They're fantastic musicians. I've tried to, every time I remember, I try to bring it up at the meeting, so you've heard me talk about them already. They're a subsidiary kind of the Lark Musical Society, which is in Glendale. The second thing is that I'm going on tour with my university from January 6th to the 16th, so I will not be at the next meeting, like I previously mentioned. And it's not really important what I'm doing, so I'm just going on tour. I'm going to be a roadie. No, I'm just kidding. I'm singing with the choir. And we're going to be stopping along the way in San Francisco and Fresno and Bakersfield, and we're concluding our tour in Vegas. So that's promising to be some fun. And also, I forgot to mention this last month, but Julia Metzler was on the Sunday radio broadcast on KUSC, and I've sang in choirs with her. I know her family pretty well. I know her sister Leah. I mean, they're just fantastically musically talented kids, both Leah and Julia. But Julia has an extremely promising career as a mezzo-soprano. She's incredible. You can even find her on YouTube. She just had a recital, I think at the Brand Library, if I'm not mistaken, or a library in Pasadena. I really can't remember. Several months ago, and she broadcasted that on YouTube. So go check it out. I mean, she definitely has a career in front of her. I mean,
She received a Diamond Award.
she received a Diamond Award, yeah. And Amador knows her as well. I mean, we're fairly good friends with Julia. She's really a jewel, really, in Glendale. I mean, I think she's born and raised here. I mean, they live in Glendale for sure, but yeah. So again, check out Julia Metzler. She's a promising young talent in Glendale.
In light of your absence, should we pick a pro tem now?
I don't think we can do that.
I think Michael Garrett hates us.
We create so much work for Mr. Grant. Anyway,
City at his desk.
next item, please.
Written communications? I have none.
I don't have any either. So I guess we're down to adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thanks for making this a fun first meeting.